I mainly wanted to find out if they had learnt themselves, what kind of experience they'd had, and what their expectations are for their child.
Hi, and welcome to Piano Teaching Success Q&A. I'm Gillian Erskine, and together with my colleague Paul Myatt, we've created this program for piano teachers around the world to inspire you, uplift you, and make your job that little bit easier as we explore our passion for teaching piano. Well, remember to like and subscribe so you are notified when each new episode arrives. Well, today my very special guest is Heather Revel. I first came to know Heather, who lives in the land of the long white cloud, or New Zealand, when I read her heartwarming story in The Power of Why book by Gloria St. Germain. I instantly liked her and discovered that she has developed a program around helping musical parents navigate this world of music lessons with their child. I was also thrilled when a few months ago, Heather joined the studio and has become a valuable member of our community. Heather, you've got quite a background in teaching music. Could you tell us all about that, please?
I started teaching piano when I was 15, and I was still having lessons myself. Continued having lessons to get my diploma. Then had children, went to university, studied music and education, and became a classroom music teacher. But all the while, still teaching piano privately. Classroom music teaching was great. I did that for quite a few years, and then expanded into music specialist. And going around, I ended up with about 5 schools doing band programs. I had originally only gone to high school for 2 things, and that was music and lunch. So if I could squeeze in as many music lessons as I possibly could at school, so I could get out of class, so I learned every instrument under the sun. Currently, I'm teaching mostly online, and I have a few students who come to my studio at home. So I'm currently teaching piano, guitar, woodwind, and music theory.
So what prompted you to develop your parent program?
Well, I had an interesting experience with a parent. I let her in too close to me, and she started taking over. And now this is when I was still classroom music teaching, and I was also directing the jazz band, and we were doing lots of touring and lots of performances, competitions and all sorts of things. And she just came in and kind of swooped in and took over, and then I think she decided that she knew better than I did. And so the supportive parent became
a nightmare.
Yeah. And even to the point where she used to go into the principal's office and try and tell him what was right and what was wrong. And so it became a real mess. And I decided then that, hey, this isn't really, it's not good for me. I don't like this. I like getting on with people, and I like being liked. So that really didn't.
That's most of us, I think. That's pretty, I don't think we all want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hadn't communicated. I sort of let my guard down. The whole personal line started to blur.
Fudge, yeah.
So I decided then that I better set out some boundaries as to what my expectations are of my students, and how my music parents can support my students, so that we're both getting the same, we're getting the same goal, we're reaching the same goals and getting the same results. We're not in conflict with each other. And so, yeah, it was a conflict.
Yeah. And I think there's also, we were talking the other day, you see in many of the, you made a point that the parents are actually your client. Well, it's kind of weird, right?
No, but you have to think of the parents are the clients, because they're the ones who pay your bills. And so, you can't treat the child as a total individual entity. They come because mum or dad has said, we want you to have music lessons, and we're going to pay the bill. So who should you keep in contact with? who is just as important, Yes, it's important to spend time with the kids, on the instruments, what have you, but you've got to keep in touch with the parents.
Yeah.
They're your bread and butter, really, as a teacher.
That's right. You often see in Facebook groups where many teachers feel, I don't know why, but they feel, oh, the parent, if only they weren't involved. Well, actually, they are involved because they pay your bill.
Yeah, and having been in schools for a long time and also teaching privately and then all the community bands and stuff that I was involved in, you hear a lot of teachers whinging about music parents. Oh, no, they're just whinging about their kids' parents. I label them as my music parents. And there's no point in whinging about them. What you have to do is get them on side. You have to be approachable to a certain degree.
Yes.
Without
boundaries,
that blur.
with boundaries.
Yes. But you have to give them information. You have to support them. It's like, hey, I noticed so-and-so hasn't done any practice for the last 2 weeks. Is everything okay at home? And then I've done that where parents haven't emailed me or contacted me. And I found out that grandma's just died and I'm in the midst of it all, they hadn't told me, so everything was up in the air. There's instances like that where you have to give them some leeway. Parents are busy. A lot of parents are they're too busy. They're running their kids to 5 different activities every flipping afternoon, which is a real pain because music needs practice, but so does soccer.
And I love your soccer analogy because you have been a soccer coach yourself, haven't you?
I have. And now some of my grandkids are really big into soccer, and their parents, my daughter and her husband, he's the coach and she's the water and orange lady and supports them and everything, running them around all over the show. But they've got to go to practice, one night during the week, and when they're not in lockdown. So they go to practice and all they do is the technique stuff. They do lots and lots of technique, tossing the ball, rolling the ball from one to another, running up and down with the ball, running back with the ball. And then the ultimate goal is on Saturday, they've got the game. And that's really what the goal, that's the important thing. They've learned all these little drills and exercises at the practice. They might have had a little practice game, but then the real stuff is Saturday. And when you win and you come away with a player of the day or whatever, that's awesome. It's the same with piano. You've got to do those nitty-gritty technical stuff. You've got to practice dribbling the ball and playing the boring stuff on the piano, as well as some, the things that you enjoy playing, so that on X whatever day, we're going to be able to play for the local rest home, or we're going to be able to go and play for great auntie's 90th birthday, or we've got an exam. So it's, practice is kind of like soccer.
Absolutely. But I mean, unlike soccer, where they're together, really the parent doesn't have to do much. They just take them twice a week, and there's 2 hours involved in getting better at that. And that's if you're just a normal rookie kind of, not if you're actually doing quite good and getting into upper level competition, because you've got to go more then. But they're doing 2 hours. We've only got them for half an hour.
I know. And boy, do we have to get through heaps of stuff in half an hour.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of time. There's like 10,000 minutes or something in a whole week, and we get them for 30. So we only get this tiny little window.
And
what else is going on in their life?
Yeah. And I really love that analogy, because a lot of parents, well, actually, we'll come to that in a minute, where some parents really don't realize that you actually have to do some practice between one leg and the next. So you have several components in your program, and that all combine together. And I think that's always a hallmark of a great program, where there's many pillars underpinning it. And so you've got a parent questionnaire where that's what you start off with a brand new parent, and a monthly newsletter, and then a follow-up sheet after every lesson. and a coaching program, and you also are very keen to involve parents in the lesson. So before we look at all of this, can you share with us the sort of difference that you've noticed since implementing this program?
Just to explain it, it's just like they were far, far away, and now they're here. And we're like a community. We're building this community. Now, the community might just be with myself and that particular family, or with the coaching program, it's with myself and a few of the families. And then they can connect with each other. They can connect with me. We're approachable. And it's like, if they have a question now, I get a text. Oh, so-and-so struggling with such and such, what do I do? And I don't mind answering those texts, not in the middle of the night or anything, but I don't mind answering those texts because that parent is taking an interest in their child's learning. It's a relationship, building relationships. That's what's really important.
Well, let's look at each one of these pillars. Your parent questionnaire. What kind of key info were you after?
I mainly wanted to find out if they had learnt themselves, what kind of experience they'd had, and what their expectations are for their child, why they actually have enrolled their child in music lessons. I wanted to find out just sort of where they came from, a little bit of a background. I also include that I would like a photo sent to me of their child at either sitting at the piano or sitting with their guitar or holding their clarinet or saxophone, just so I can see what kind of instrument they've got. Because that's a weird one. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Tell you, online has been amazing. I've seen what some of them are really cruddy. And you know, some kids have got wonderful pianos and really nice guitars, but others they pull out little keyboard, you know, that's got like 2.5 octaves maybe, and it's touch sensitive, and it's and it tinker tinker tinker. Dear idea. So we can talk about that.
A leap off point. Yes.
We can really talk about that. That's really cool. And most of them they're just accepting of whatever we discuss because they actually do want the best for their child. I've had some parents who have inquired. They're not interested in doing the questionnaire. They just want little Johnny to come along and do something. They're not a good fit for me.
No.
And so we sort that out. That's fine.
One of the parents' musical background is just so telling, isn't it? And these questions really prompt them, I imagine, to also think about when you say, well, what do you really want out of music lessons for your child? Because it might help avoid, when are they going to do Amy Big or the, exam grade 5 or whatever, because they just think that that's what you do because that's what they did. Rather than what do I really want? What I really want is them to love and enjoy music and be able to playing it when they're an adult.
Yes.
It may not always line up with, I want him to do grade 5 at 8. Right.
Yeah, you do get that. But then that opens it up for discussion. And you can talk with them and just say, well, that's okay. Based on what you've given me, the information you've given me, let's have a chat about little Jack and what we're going to be doing with him, because he's 5 now. And so let's look at some realistic goals for this term or next term or this year. I try to talk in years because I don't like parents or children to think that they're only doing this for 10 weeks.
Yes.
We're going to be doing that this year.
Ongoing. Yeah, that's right. And that really helps align them and orientate them around that. Has there been something that really surprised you? And I think I just alluded to it just a minute ago. You were saying that.
What does that mean? They actually have to play the piano. Oh, we don't have a piano at home. Oh, crikey. Well, that's another one.
Yes.
I've had that a couple of times.
We've had that in the music schools. Oh, do I have to have an instrument at home? Yes.
Yes. Well, that's a good way to start. Yes. But no, there are some parents, and they're the non-music, they're the ones without the musical background.
Yes.
Who think that. And I mean, good on them for saying that. Because then once again, it opens up for conversation and we can talk about it,
Yeah.
And to say I can give them what my expectations are.
Yeah, and I think we
Yeah.
also have the non-musical parent that was around kids at school that did music and knew that we have to do scales and we have to practice for 30 minutes a day.
That was the given, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Scales every day, 30 minutes
Every
every
day.
day playing something, yes. And a lot of parents think too that if their child is practicing at home, it's all going to be sounding good. They don't realise that practice is taking maybe bar 9 to bar 12 and hammering it out, trying to figure out that timing, clapping it or tapping it or doing some of this, what is it? And then going over it again. Oh, they mucked up over again. And that simple little things, like I give them little inspiration for that as well. I might get them to put, say, here's one of my turtles. Okay, we practice it at home and it goes good. That's ones. We practice that section at home, it goes bad. Oh, we go back to one. So if they can practice it 3 times in a row, getting it right, yeehaw! Terence Turtle does a jump over the piano, and so we've got some success here.
Yes.
Or so it's teaching parents as well, just telling them that, hey, practice at home is not sitting down playing everything you know. It's actually doing the stuff that we don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And then playing for pleasure is playing the things that we know. That's an entirely different thing. It's not practice.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And if you've got a conversation, a dialogue going on, you can actually discuss all of these sorts of things with parents, because otherwise you don't get an opportunity, do you?
No. Those are some of the things that I put in my monthly parent newsletter as well.
So if you're interested in adding a parent questionnaire into your studio and you're not really sure what questions to ask, Heather has generously provided her questionnaire as a free download for this show, and the link is in the show notes. So thank you very much, Heather, for doing that, because it's a wonderful place to start. So let's move on to your parent newsletter. So what do you include in that?
Oh, there's always something about practice in there. And it might be, I'll always announce, sort of what we're maybe looking at, just some focus for this term, who has maybe achieved something. I have a little bit of an issue because some of my students belong to a closed community, so I don't share any names or anything like that, but I can celebrate somebody's success on an exam or whatever, and things like that. If I come across some information through the groups that I'm a member of, including the studio, and that I can share, I'll do that as well. Yes, it's just passing on as much knowledge, information for them. And the percentage rate of who opens it is 75 to 85, kind of around that percentage.
That's pretty good, because I was going to ask, do they read it?
Yeah, they do. And I email them a little bit later and say, hey, did you see the newsletter? Might just check your inbox in case it went maybe to spam or something like that. So it's good to follow up.
So you do it every month?
Yeah, once a month.
So that 12 a year, or do you take one off, with like January off or something?
Well, January I do one,
I guess. Yeah.
But because I start teaching again around about the 20th.
Yes.
And so it's just a big welcome me.
Yeah. And then December, you got to do the whole Merry Christmas thing. So end of year, yeah. So you're up for 12.
Yeah.
And so you do that one every month, but then you do follow-up sheets, and that's a little bit different to a homework notebook, right?
Oh yeah. No, homework notebooks are a thing of the past. Absolutely a thing of the past. With my follow-up sheets, it's only a small an A5 thing, 4 sections. And so in the first one, I do things by hand because I'm old school. So I write these out and comment on how such and such that they've been working on is sounding this week, and put a stamp or a sticker or a star, or, something on it. And even for my teenagers.
They like the stars and the stamps too.
Even the boys, teenage boys. It's like I say, oh, you're going to get a star this week. That was sensational. And he's like, whatever, you know, Mr. Keith is crazy, but that's okay. Whatever. And yeah, they don't mind. So, and then in the second one, I talk about anything like new pieces, new work that we're working on and the technique.
So when you're writing these, you're kind of thinking about, I'm writing this to the parent, or are you thinking about, I'm just writing this as a record of what happened?
No, I'm writing this so that the parent knows what went on. Cover the technique, any theory work, new work that they need to concentrate on. Then I scan it and email it to mum and dad. So mum and dad know exactly what is going on.
Do they open it?
Yep. And they print it out and they give it to the child. And I've even got some kids, their parents are pinning it up on the wall above their piano or above their music stand so that they can see each week. So you email it to mum and dad, and that's that other sense of part of communication. Just see.
So does it take a little bit of training to get them to print it, print it out?
No, because I say, please print out the attached document.
Yeah.
And they do.
And you probably mention it in your newsletter as well.
Yeah, they know about it. And it's been going on for a while now. And
I also like that you said that you actually often put a little personal note to the parent on the bottom of it.
Oh, yes.
So that's a reason to open it up. I wonder whether she wrote anything to me this week.
You did a great job helping so-and-so with that nasty little piece or that nasty section. Oh my goodness, I hear you played a duet with so-and-so. That's awesome. I want to hear it next time. You know, just simple little things like that.
Yeah, but it's like,
and it's handwritten. It's a personal thing.
It is. It absolutely is. Yeah. So let's move on to your coaching program. This is I've never heard of this before, but I think it's fabulous. So tell us what you do.
For 4 weeks, a term, and we have 4 terms in New Zealand. For 4 weeks of each term, I offer a little coaching program for the music parents, just for half an hour, 30 to 40 minutes online. And initially, I bring a topic to the meeting, and I'll talk about it, and then ask them to discuss it or have any questions, and it's a bit of to and fro. So obviously we talk about practice. I also talk about punctuality and having your computer charged. It's really helpful if you do that before you come to an online lesson. Being prepared for online lessons. If you're coming in person lessons, we talk about having your music books ready so that there's no screaming match at home before you have to come, and then they turn up with no music because they can't find it at home. You know, it just
begs the question, what were we playing all week? From what?
Yeah, who knows? I know. So yeah, there's covered just things like that. Practice. What sort of practice are we looking at doing? What am I expecting them to play during the week? Are you able to help them if they have any issues? Now this is a bit weird, because if you can help them, okay, but if you do it, I might have to sit on you, because it's just not going to work. If you're going to do the work for the child, what's the point?
You're talking about someone who actually wrote the answer to the theory questions. The theory book. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. You do. Yes, I've had a few parents that do it, and I have one at the moment who's doing it. And just so obvious, because the kids can't read the music, you know. And I've got a couple of screens here, so I put the music up on the other screen, share my screen, and I say to the child, okay, or we look at something else, you know, and I say, right, now tell me the name of that note there. I don't know that note. You should. You just played it. And hang on a minute, let's have a look at your music. Oh my gosh, it was in there 12 times, that note. What note did you play? I don't know. It's just like that. Right. And on the theory sheet, or the note naming sheet, or the activity that we've had the week before has had that note on it and it's got the correct name on it. So how did that happen? I don't know.
I guess spending this time is time well invested, because they're really getting to know who you are and that you're approachable. Is that how you find it?
Yes. And I'm a bit cheeky and I like lots of fun, and and I give the kids a hard time, but always in a comical kind of way.
Yeah, that's right. And so let's look at the ways you involve parents in lessons, because I mean, clearly you're involving them and trying to help them feel comfortable and giving them lots of tips on what to do at home to help with practice. But what about in the lessons in your studio? Like, clearly.
Please come. Please come in, and even if you don't want to sit in the room, you can sit just outside so you can hear and see what's going on. But come in, close proximity, I don't care, that's cool. And we just whiz around, and they can see exactly what little Johnny's meant to do. And I've got some dads who come in, their son, two of them, their sons are learning guitar. Both the dads come in to the lessons with their boys. They're learning to play as well. And that's great.
Yeah.
Because they can see what little Johnny's doing, right or wrong. And I've had them, they pop up and go, hang on a minute, Mrs. Heather, what are we doing here? Sorry, can you just explain that again? Oh, so that's what you meant to be playing, Johnny. Oh, okay. So now we know what we're doing. I love it. And if they're in here and we're playing games, music games, of course.
Yeah.
Then there's three of us.
Yeah, they're playing too.
Absolutely. And if we're doing rhythm work and we've got some drums out, they get a drum too.
Yeah.
And it's fabulous. The kids love it.
Yeah.
Parents enjoy it. And they go home thinking, okay, we've had a really good experience. Let's try what we did in our lesson at home. It just becomes a normal thing to do.
Yes. It's a killer combo, isn't it? Involving the parents integrally into their lessons and what they're doing at home, they're doing in lessons, just translates to them knowing exactly what they should expect to hear at home. Even.
Yes.
All that.
No, we can also do that with online. I might be teaching the younger ones. Can mum or grandma or whoever else might be at home just sit around if they don't want to have to be involved, but they're just sitting around there encouraging, and the kids
love it.
Do so much better than the children whose parents just lock them away and ignore. So they do a lot better.
I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to come up when I was practicing and to put his shoes on, shoes and socks on, which is what he wore to work, while I was practicing. And it was like, he came there, it's like, oh. And you just feel so good that your parent has taken that little bit of time out of their day just to spend it listening to what you're doing.
Yeah. And I had that too. My parents never came into my lessons when I was young, because that wasn't the done thing. No. But at home, mum would be ironing because my piano was in the lounge. Mum would be ironing, and then sometimes she might start whistling along with the song or whatever I was doing. And then Dad would come in and read the newspaper if it was on the weekends. And I love that.
Yeah, me too.
So nice.
Different. Yeah. Well, having seen your studio, and you alluded to before, everything's a bit fun here because we like fun, and we like fun too. When we're online together in Must-Fuss, I see all those little things in the background, and we've got flashing lights there, Heather.
I do. Yes, I have flashing lights. And someone said to me, "Oh, this is Heather. It's not Christmas." I said, "It's music, and music is great. So we can have Christmas anytime you like, and you can have fun at music anytime you like."
Can you share us some of your fun things that you do that you've got?
Well, I have these lovely glasses, which are pretty funky, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, if these are a reward, these are my own. They cost me $3.50. The price tag is still there. And I bought them donkeys years ago. But if you, if a child comes in and they've done something successful, I might just pop them up on the piano or on the other piano, and just sit them there. They're like a big tease, right? It's like, Oh, I like these glasses, Mrs. Heather. Can I put one? Oh, no, not yet. They're only for people who can actually play this whatever scale fantastically, both hands in contrary motion today. So it's like, oh.
need to do that.
Yeah. Then they can wear the glasses for the rest of the lesson. Oh, cool. How cool
Do they
is that?
fiddle with them? Do they? I mean, I'm amazed at how broken or something. Or they keep.
I know. Oh
Yeah.
no, they're a trophy, so
Yes.
nobody's
Treat
allowed to be rough with them. They just wear them for the lesson, and then I can take their photo if they want, and I can send it to their mum or dad. So that's just a little teaser.
That's cute.
I have Terence Turtle. Now, Terence Turtle is a little bit slow, and he comes out when you're playing too fast. So Terence Turtle comes out, and he comes out for any age child, and he will come out, and I will put on the stupid little slow kind of voice. And Terence Turtle comes out, and he will come right up to the screen, or he'll come if they're in here having a lesson on the other piano. He'll sit there, and you have to make sure that you're going slow, or he'll come and jump on your hand, and then you have to play with him on your hand. Just stupid things like that, really. I've got a few turtles.
You got to cut. Yeah. What are the other ones for?
Well, this is Timmy Turtle, and Timmy Turtle is a little beanbag toy, and he's for my littlies to pick up and cuddle, and they can cuddle, and they do, and he talks to them as well. So he can talk, and this is just for their little hand position. So he sits on the piano as well. Then I've got Tommy Turtle. He sits under the piano stool because I don't have one of those foot restlings.
Things, yeah.
So I've just got Tommy Turtle, which was used by, I don't know, my children or my grandchildren. And that's what they put their feet on. So, and they have to be very gentle. If they can't come, no shoes, only socks, and they have to sit there. And he fits all right with their feet.
I've never seen one of those sort of little ones. They're great.
Oh, you get them for the bathroom, for small children, so they can reach the basin, so they can brush. I have a lot of games. I've got a lot of games from Nicola Canton, and I've got a lot of games that I've made myself. Because I do landmark notes. This is my moo cow, and he comes out whenever somebody looks at a C, treble C, high C, middle C, bass C, low C. And if they haven't learned yet what that C is, well, he'll come out and moo. Right? So it's a C, and so that's he's coming out to give them a clue. Well, actually, it should be she, shouldn't it? Because it's a cow. Anyway. So just stupid little things like that.
It sticks with them when you do things like that. They're novel and they stick with their head.
And they love it because he'll sit there and he'll be watching for every middle C or treble C or bass C that they have to play. And if they don't play it, then he comes and sits on them. If they do play it, he gives them a cuddle.
Oh, how lovely.
I know.
And you've got that little cat thing. Is it a little leopard?
He's a little leopard, but one of my, I've got two little girls who come for lessons. They're just local children. And one of them is absolutely madly in love with cats. And she instantly walks in the house and picks up one of my cats and just squeezes and cuddles and cuddles. So when she comes in, she just goes straight for this. Oh, after she's cuddled my cats to death, comes straight in and cuddles this one. So this one is in all the online lessons which we're having at the moment because of lockdown, and it just makes her day. And so she goes, I ask her to go and get her cat, and she'll bring me their live cat, and then she'll bring me her stuffed cat, and we have a conversation, and then we play the piano. She's 5, and so he bounces around the piano. Her fingers might be straight like sticks. Oops, the daisies. We need to cuddle our pussycat with our nice round fingers, and we try that again. And it's just fun, And if they make, if the kids make mistakes, the last thing they need is, and I'll just say, what the heck was that? Goodness gracious me. Oh, no, that was terrible. No, we can't have that. Yes. Okay. And then we carry on and we laugh and,
Yeah.
I do teach some of my grandchildren online as well. And they love it. They just say, oh, you're the fun grandma, so.
Oh, how lovely.
Good to be a bit crazy.
Yeah. And so you're doing some whole body movements and learning type things as well?
Yes, definitely including whole body learning since joining the studio. And it kind of comes because I used to do preschool music as well. When I was classroom teaching, I taught year 3s to year 8. And then at a different college, I taught year 7s to 10s. Mm. So, I've
pulled
in
the full range, really.
Yeah, the preschool, the whole thing. So I've done a lot of preschool music and, rainbow, the parachutes and all that sort of stuff with my kids. And so doing the whole body learning the whole body learning strategy that you present in the studio has just brought a lot of that back and given me the confidence to go, oh yeah, hang on, we can do this with my older students as well and get them to move. And I know when I started doing it with some of them, they were looking at me like,
you're serious?
Down, Just go with the flow, Oh, okay. So yeah, it's great.
Thank you for sharing all of your wonderful ideas and strategies with us today. It's
welcome.
Been terrific. Oh dear. Well, that's all we have time for today. And I'd really like to thank Heather Revel for being with us today. We're going to be back in 2 weeks' time with another great episode of Piano Teaching Success. If you're watching us on YouTube, click the like and subscribe buttons now to make sure you're notified when our next episode is released. I'd like to thank Paul, who's been producing today's show and is responsible for any online videos that we do and behind the scenes tech. On behalf of all of us, stay well and see you next time.